Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel and another session of why we shouldn't chase formulas. And in today's session, I'll be discussing a topic which I thought I'd never discuss, which is work per energy. Because it's such an easy topic, but some people are finding it difficult, so I'll discuss it anyway. And also I'll be discussing the infamous question of the treadmill recording work per energy at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And before we start, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because there is a lot of interesting content that is related to JEE coming up. When we look at a problem for work per energy, we immediately tend to go to the equation work done by conservative, work done by non-conservative, and work done by internal forces equals to change in kinetic energy. But a lot of people find it difficult to find what is an internal force, what is an external force, what is a system, and what is a non-conservative force. It's such a huge mess. So I suggest just forget about all. Let's directly dive right into the idea. Okay. Let's start with one of the most basic examples, okay? A spring block system. Now, stop looking for the internal force, stop looking for the external force, just try to completely understand that the whole thing is a single system. And when the whole thing is a single system, the total energy of the system is constant. You see 3 bars on the right side, all the bars are actually the total energies, they are representing the total energies of the system. Except in the first situation, the energy is completely kinetic energy. And in the second situation, some part of the energy is kinetic and some part of the energy is potential. And in the third situation, the entire energy is purely potential. But the total energy in all the 3 situations is clearly equal. So here the energy is half m v1 square. Here the energy is half m v2 square plus half k x square. In the third situation, it is just half x some x1 square. That is the compression in this situation. Let's just consider that. Okay, so when you look at the system and just try to equate all these 3 values, half of the problem is already done. Example. Now let's look at another beautiful example. The ball is already at a height h, so because of that it already has some potential energy which is represented by this blue block. And when the ball is released, you can clearly see that this energy goes down and this energy totally goes up, and the sum of these 2 energies, this always remains constant. So let's look at that. Now you can clearly observe one thing, that the ball is coming down, the potential energy is going down, the kinetic energy is increasing, but the sum of these 2 energies is constant at every situation. One of the beautiful examples that I would get. Here is one more example for you. You look at a vertical spring system. Okay, here the kinetic energy is changing, the gravitational potential energy is changing, and the spring potential energy is also changing along with the situation, right? But please try to follow me here. This is a total mechanical energy which never changes. Here he clearly shows the spring potential energy, the kinetic energy, and the gravitational potential energy, and here he shows them all in a single graph. This is a very interesting part. This is a very interesting part. Watch this thing. You see that? You see how the energies are clearly changing? As the block is coming down, you can clearly see the gravitational potential energy Ug is going down. As the block is oscillating, the kinetic energy is oscillating. But on the right side, where he considered the sum of 3 energies is actually constant. He simply took all these things, all these 3 things, put them in a single stack, and you simply show it as the total mechanical energy. You can clearly observe that the total mechanical energy is constant in every situation. It is just summation of the spring potential energy, the kinetic energy, and the gravitational potential energy. I will have you, I'll let you have another look at it. Watch the whole thing. The 3 energies, all 3 stacked up into single thing, which means the total mechanical energy is always constant. Beautiful. Now let's bring a non-conservative force into the system. Let's not use big words. The best example, friction. Yeah, friction is not the only non-conservative forces. There are other non-conservative forces, but as long as your problems are concerned, you don't have to consider other non-conservative forces. As long as it is mains or advanced, it's mostly the frictional force that is a non-conservative force, and you can happily deal with the problems which are regarding non-conservative forces also. Let's consider a huge example for that also. Okay, when you have a system like this where there is friction involved, where there is slipping in between this disc and a plank in between, okay, what do you need to do? Like, you simply write the total initial energy of the system, and your total final energy of the system, since there is friction, you have to add the frictional loss also. The total initial energy of the system, total energy of final situation, which includes the mechanical energy along with the frictional losses. That's the only difference that it makes. Okay, so you don't have to look at all the big equations when you're looking at a work power energy problem. Okay, all you need to do is just look at the system, try to write the energy of the system. If there is frictional losses, add the frictional losses also, and the problem will be solved. I know I haven't entirely explained what happens during the internal forces, external forces, how to take systems and all, but I have done some full-fledged lectures on work power energy. You feel free to check them on the website examtracker.com. Alright, now that brings us to the question time. Here is how it goes. When you're running outside, we are burning all our energy, converting it into kinetic energy, then eventually converts into heat. But when we are running on a treadmill, you're not using your energy because you're not creating any kinetic energy there. On top of that, the treadmill is also running on electrical power. So where is all this energy going? Are we burning less energy here? Are more heat being created there? Here is my answer. When you're running outside in a park, you are using all your force not just to balance your weight, you're also using it to accelerate yourself. But when you're running on a treadmill, all you're doing is just moving your feet and the tread being run. Now, when the tread is running, definitely there is heat created in the motors, that is for sure. But you are just moving your feet, balancing your weight, that's all. You're just under the pressure of your weight and you're just moving your feet. So you're definitely burning less energy in the case of a treadmill.